The sky above Cover 9 burned red, not from a sunset, but from falling ships. Sirens screamed through the Coalition's high-altitude research station, built in orbit just above the deadly planet. Scientists ran down the glowing hallways, clutching tablets and shouting in panic. The alarms weren't a test this time. Something had gone wrong, terribly wrong. In the deepest chamber of the station, a boy sat alone inside a reinforced training cell. His name, as far as the staff knew, was Unit 73. His body was bruised, his knuckles raw. He sat cross-legged on the cold floor, his eyes closed, but he wasn't sleeping. He was listening. Outside his chamber, lights flickered. Explosions rumbled in the distance. The base was under attack. But Unit 73 didn't move. He'd heard this kind of panic before, during drills. He'd seen scientists scream and beg while tests melted around them. But something was different now. Then came the voice through the intercom. It wasn't alien. It wasn't Coalition protocol. It was human. All units evacuate immediately. Unknown attackers detected. Breach in Level 5. Repeat breach in Level 5. Jaden opened his eyes. He didn't know where the name Jaden came from. It wasn't written in his file. No one ever called him that. But he heard it in his dreams, soft and warm, like someone whispering to him long ago. Maybe it was his real name. Maybe it was just a memory buried too deep. But when he heard that human voice on the comms, he felt something rise in his chest. Colon fire. The reinforced door shook as the explosion hit the corridor. The glass cracked. He didn't wait. He ran straight at the wall and leapt. Years of brutal training had turned him into something faster, stronger, sharper. His bare foot struck the emergency panel. Sparks flew. The door dropped. Smoke flooded the hallway. Bodies lay in pieces, guards, drones, even scientists. A man with a rifle turned toward Jaden, but hesitated. The soldier's armor was patched with earth markings. His voice trembled. He's one of them. That's one of the lab rats. Jaden didn't speak. His eyes locked on the man's weapon. The soldier lowered it slowly. Leave him, another human said, rushing past. We're not here for him. But Jaden didn't move. He stared at the humans running through the station, planting charges, stealing hard drives, destroying records. They were ghosts from stories whispered through vents at night. The ones the Coalition feared. The ones they swore never to mention. Again, Earth soldiers. The hallway shook again. Jaden sprinted down the corridor, following a path no one told him to follow. It wasn't mapped. It wasn't taught. But he knew it. His body remembered every twist, every vent shaft, every ladder. And at the end of that memory was escape. He dove through a blast door seconds before it sealed behind him. Another explosion ripped through the upper decks, and the station tilted, lights flickering in every hallway. Jaden slid down a narrow service tunnel that led directly to the drop chutes. No one followed. No one stopped him. He found a small escape. Pod 1 used for garbage disposal, barely functional. He climbed in, strapped himself down, and slammed the launch button. The pod shot down toward the surface of Cover 9 like a stone drop from the sky. The descent was rough. Flames lit the windows. The heat shields cracked. But Jaden didn't scream. His eyes were locked on the planet below, the world they warned him about his whole life. Cover 9, the unlivable. The testing ground. The final trial. They said no one could survive there. But Jaden didn't feel fear. He felt something else. Familiarity. The pod smashed into a dense forest, tearing through thick branches and dirt. The impact threw him against the seat. Pain shot through his ribs. He unstrapped himself and kicked the door open. Smoke poured out around him. The air was thick, but breathable. The trees were tall and sharp, like spears. Strange sounds echoed through the jungle, and still he wasn't afraid. He stepped out barefoot into the dirt. The wind touched his skin like it knew him. The gravity didn't crush him. The heat didn't slow him down. His feet remembered the ground. His lungs welcomed the air. He wasn't an intruder here. This place had always been his. Jaden turned and looked up through the trees as the station exploded in orbit, fire streaking across the night sky. The humans were gone. The aliens would come looking. But now they wouldn't find their subject, because he wasn't theirs anymore. He was home. Asterisk, the fire in the sky was gone, but smoke still hung over the broken lab towers like ghosts from the past. Jaden ran through the twisted metal halls, his feet bare, blood on his shoulder and firelight flashing on his skin. The others had died in the blast, the guards, the drones, even the scientists. He didn't cry. He didn't scream. His eyes were focused on something deeper. He knew this planet. He shouldn't have, but his legs moved without command, his breath steady even in the thin air. He leapt across a split walkway and landed on a rock ledge far below. There was no fear. He could feel the path beneath his bones. Kavranine. They said it was a cursed world. They told him no one had ever lived here. But his dreams had whispered something else for years, songs of thunder, faces in storms, hands reaching out from the caves. He always thought they were madness. Now he followed them. The wind roared like a monster. A plasma drone flew past overhead, searching. He waited in a crack between black stones until it was gone. Then he dropped down into a ravine, past walls carved by time and water long since gone. His feet found a small tunnel hidden behind a bush of gray vines. Inside, the air was cold. The walls were covered in strange carvings, human shapes with glowing eyes and weapons that looked like bones. His hand reached out and touched a line of markings. They lit up with a soft blue light. He froze, heart pounding. That wasn't alien tech. It was human. Ancient, but familiar. The markings pulsed beneath his hand like they knew him. "Welcome home," a voice said from behind him. He turned, fists raised. But what stood there wasn't a soldier or drone. It was an old man. Skin tanned like leather, hair silver gray and tangled, wearing armor made of scavenged pieces. His eyes were sharp but kind. He didn't look afraid. He looked relieved. "I waited a long time," the man said, leaning on a thick cane. "Didn't think they'd bring one of you back alive." Jaden stepped back, confused. "Who are you?" "Name's Rusk," the man said. "Used to be like you. Born on this planet, taken when I was 10, but I escaped. I came back." Jaden stared. "This is Earth?" Rusk laughed softly. "No, kid, but it's Earth's shadow. Long ago, before the Council started cutting off worlds, this place was a colony. Our people lived here, thrived. Then the aliens came, called it a death world, said we weren't allowed to be here, so they wiped it from their maps." Jaden's head spun. "But why take me?" "They needed test subjects," Rusk said. "Someone they could raise to survive here. Thought if they made a perfect survivor, they could retake the world one day, but they didn't realize something important." Jaden narrowed his eyes. "What?" "You were already perfect for it. Because you were born here, just like me." Jaden's knees almost gave out. The cold cave felt warmer now, like it was holding him. "I was never their project," Jaden said slowly. "They didn't create me." "No," Rusk said. "They trained you to survive your own home. That's the truth." Jaden sat down on a rock. For years he believed he was a tool, an experiment, a number. Now he wasn't even sure who he was anymore. "Why didn't they just kill me?" He whispered. "They needed to prove they could control this world," Rusk answered. "You were their proof. You were supposed to show that even a human could be broken and rebuilt into something they owned." Jaden clenched his fists. His mind went back to the punishments, the tests, the cold meals, the empty rooms. "I want to fight back," he said. "You're not alone," Rusk replied. "There's more of us, hidden, watching, waiting." Jaden looked up. "Why didn't you come for me?" We didn't know which lab had you, Rusk said. They move the children often, hide their files. Until now, we thought all of you were dead. Jaden stood. His heart beat faster. He wasn't broken. He wasn't lost. He was home. And now he had a choice. I want to find the others, he said. I want to stop this. You're not ready yet, Rusk warned. But you will be. There's more to this planet than you know. Jaden turned toward the glowing wall. Something deep inside the stone seemed to call to him. What is this place? He asked. Rusk smiled. It's not a cave. It's a door. Jaden stepped forward. The markings lit up again, brighter this time. The ground shook slightly, and a panel slid open to reveal a stairway leading down into blackness. What's down there? Jaden asked. Rusk's voice was calm but strong. The past. And maybe ... our future. The stairway beneath the cave was narrow and old, cut into solid rock with tools far more precise than anything Jaden had seen in the alien labs. Each step down echoed like a whisper, and the deeper they went, the warmer the air became. Glowing blue lines ran along the walls, pulsing softly, lighting the way. Jaden didn't know how it worked, but it responded to him, as if the cave itself could feel he had returned. Behind him, Rusk walked slowly but steadily. The old man knew these tunnels well. He didn't speak. He let Jaden take the lead, as if the planet itself had chosen who would walk first. After what felt like an hour, the stairs ended at a wide chamber. Jaden stepped inside and gasped. Massive machines lined the walls, shaped like spider limbs and tree roots combined. In the center stood a round platform with symbols carved into it, symbols Jaden somehow understood. This is not alien, Jaden said, moving toward the center. It's human. Rusk nodded. Older than any Earth colony we knew. Built when our ancestors first came here, before the Council banned Earth's expansion. They called this place the Core Mind. Jaden stepped onto the platform. The carvings lit up under his feet. The machines around the room hummed to life. A soft vibration ran through the floor. Then a voice, deep and ancient, spoke in broken English. Genetic match confirmed. Command access unlocked. Jaden froze. What is this? He asked. It's a weapon, Rusk said, walking closer. And a memory. This place controls the defenses hidden beneath the surface of this planet. Weapons built by humans long ago. You're one of the last bloodlines that can wake them. Jaden looked down at his hands. All his life, he thought the pain he survived came from being a project. But now, it was clear, it was preparation. Not by the aliens, but by nature, by blood, by something older than him. But why me? He asked. Because they erased your family, Rusk said. Your parents were rebels, survivors. They tried to fight the Council when they came to claim this planet. They died protecting it. You were just a baby. They took you before we could find you. Jaden clenched his jaw. His chest ached. Not from fear, but from a fire that had no name. They stole his name, his parents, his home. Now the planet was giving them back. Suddenly, the walls shook. Lights flickered. A siren echoed from deep inside the ground. Rusk grabbed a handle on the wall and held tight. What's happening? Jaden shouted. Rusk's eyes narrowed. They found you. The Council's hunter drones are landing. Jaden's instincts kicked in. How many? Too many, Rusk said. They want to erase the evidence. You are the evidence. Jaden's hands touched the control panel beside the platform. The symbols shifted, glowing red. His mind felt pulled into the system, as if the planet itself was asking for his orders. I can stop them, he whispered. No, Rusk warned. This system is powerful. It can kill entire ships. But it takes part of your mind. Don't use it unless you must. Jaden didn't hesitate. Then I must. Outside, dark shapes flew over the horizon drones, drop pods, armored scouts. with scanning eyes and electric claws. They landed hard and fast, fanning out through the valleys, weapons armed. But the ground beneath them rumbled, the air turned cold. The sky flashed. Then, without warning, sharp metallic spikes rose from the soil, silent, controlled, precise. They pierced the drop pods from below. Explosions lit the sky. Jaden stood in the core mine chamber, eyes closed, feeling the planet's response through his body like blood through veins. The chamber's voice echoed again. Defense mode active. Enemy signature confirmed. Elimination in progress. Rusk stared in awe. You're linked. The system trusts you. Jaden opened his eyes. They want to silence me, but this planet remembers. In the valley above, hunter drones fired plasma bursts into the forests. But the trees fought back. Branches whipped like blades. Vines wrapped around metal limbs and crushed them. The planet wasn't just alive, it was angry. Jaden spoke calmly. I'll drive them back. But we need to send a message to Earth. They need to know what happened here. Rusk nodded. There's an old relay tower on the eastern ridge. Council shut it down, but we kept its power core alive. You'll need to fight your way there. Jaden turned to leave, but Rusk grabbed his shoulder. Before you go, take this, he said, handing over a long, thin blade forged from native blackstone. This was your father's. He used it in the last stand. Carved from the bones of this world. Jaden took the blade. It was heavier than it looked, but it felt right in his grip. Like it had waited years to return to his hand. Then he looked toward the tunnel's exit and said the words no machine could teach him. Let them come. I know this planet better than they do. Asterisk. The wind howled across the eastern ridge as Jaden climbed, his blade strapped to his back and Rusk's final words burning in his ears like fire. Below him, smoke curled from shattered drop pods. Dead drones littered the valley, their circuits torn by vines and acid rain. Cover 9 was awake now, and it was angry. Jaden wasn't guiding it, he was part of it. The ground under his boots trembled. Far behind, a council warship hung above. The clouds scanning the land with wide beams of yellow light. They were still looking for him. They still thought they could control what they didn't understand. Jaden reached the top of the ridge, just as the clouds broke, revealing a tall, rusted tower. It leaned slightly to the side, held together with cables, roots, and hope. At its base was a metal hatch covered in moss and dried blood. He pulled it open with both hands and dropped into the dark. The chamber inside smelled like oil and stone. An old generator hummed in the corner, still alive. Jaden moved toward the control panel and wiped away layers of dust. Symbols blinked, confused but not dead. He placed his hand on the panel. The lights blinked green. A static-filled voice came from a speaker above. Old Earth relay offline since cycle 129A is recognized. Message window open. Jaden leaned in close. To Earth Command, he said, keeping his voice steady. This is Jaden Core. Born on Cover 9, I've uncovered a hidden facility where children were taken, used, trained, then erased. I am one of them. I'm not alone. He paused, then continued. This planet is alive. It remembers us. It fights for us. The Council came here thinking they could own it, but they don't even understand it. I'm activating a beacon now. If you can hear this, send help, but don't come to conquer. Come to listen. He pressed the final key. A deep pulse echoed through the mountains, a sound wave strong enough to reach orbit. The beacon lit the sky like a second sun, but far above. The Council warship turned. Jaden barely had time to duck as the first plasma blast hit the edge of the ridge, throwing rock and fire in every direction. The tower shuddered. Parts of the ceiling cracked and fell. Jaden rolled to the side as heat licked his arm. Outside, drop pods screamed from the sky like knives, slamming into the soil around the tower. Soldiers poured out Council enforcers. In dark armor with glass faceplates, Armed with shock lances and nerve darts, Jaden leapt from the hatch, landing hard on the slope. He drew the black stone blade. It shimmered in the sunlight, humming faintly with every breath of wind. The soldiers formed a ring around him. Their leader stepped forward taller than the rest, armor etched with gold. His voice came through a helmet speaker, cold and flat. "You are property of the Coalition. You will return with us now." Jaden held his ground. "I'm not property. I'm a native." The leader raised his weapon. "You were made in our labs. Your life belongs to us." Jaden moved first. He dodged the dart, slid under the lance, and cut the nearest soldier's leg. The blade passed through armor like paper. The ground shifted under his feet, roots lifting, vines moving to protect him. The planet didn't want him dead. It wanted him free. The enforcers fought hard, trained to suppress rebellions. But they weren't trained for Kavra-9's anger. Steam burst from the rocks. Thorns burst from the soil. Jaden moved between them like a shadow blade striking, always a step ahead. The leader lunged at him, energy blade aimed at his heart. Jaden blocked it with his father's weapon. Sparks flew. The enemy pressed harder, thinking strength would win. But Jaden smiled. He stepped aside just as the ground beneath them cracked, and a geyser of black smoke burst upward, sending the leader tumbling down the hill. Jaden stood at the top, chest heaving, cuts on his arms but eyes steady. The enforcers lay broken or fled. Only the warship remained, hovering like a god above the sky. He looked up and spoke to it like it could hear him. "You made me fight your monsters, breathe your poison, bleed for your tests. But you trained me for the wrong reason. I was never yours." A new voice broke through the clouds. Clear, human. "This is Earth Command Vessel, Arxon 3. We received your message. We are here." Jaden's eyes widened. In the far sky, a second ship entered orbit. Sleek, silver, Earth markings along the side. It moved fast toward the Council warship. The sky lit with the glow of charged weapons. War was coming. But not the kind the Council expected. And Jaden was ready. The Earth ship came in fast, slicing through the clouds like a blade of light. The Council warship turned to face it, charging its plasma cannons. Blue energy pulsed along its hull, warning of an incoming strike. But the Earth vessel moved smarter. Not just stronger, it curved around the attack and fired a focused blast at the enemies. Communication tower. The tower exploded in a ball of sparks. Jaden shielded his eyes as metal rained from the sky. He felt the wind shift, as if the planet itself approved. His message had been heard. Earth was here. From a distance, Earth Command's voice echoed again. "Unit Jaden Core, we've locked onto your beacon. Do you require extraction?" Jaden raised his arm toward the sky, voice steady. "Not extraction, reinforcement. I'm staying." There was a pause before Earth Command responded. "Understood. Ground team inbound." A new shuttle broke away from the Earthship and sped toward the surface. Jaden turned his eyes back to the ridge, where the remaining Council forces regrouped. They had numbers, heavy weapons, but they didn't have the land Jaden touched. The ground beside him, the soil was warm. It pulsed faintly under his fingers like a heartbeat. "You've always been with me," he whispered to the planet. Then he stood and sprinted down the ridge. Vines curled out of his path. Stones shifted to give him better footing. Behind him, Council enforcers opened fire, but their blast struck nothing but dust and rock. Jaden was faster than before. The world was lifting him. He reached the valley floor just as the Earth shuttle landed behind the trees. The ramp dropped open, and soldiers in black and green armor rushed out. Their faces were human. Their voices were calm. Their weapons aimed quickly at the advancing enemy. "Who's in command here?" one asked as they formed a defense line. Jaden stepped forward. "I am." No one laughed. They didn't need to. He carried it in the way he moved, the way the planet responded to his presence. the way the enemy hesitated when he stared back. An Earth soldier nodded. "Then we follow your lead." Jaden pointed toward the old core mine cave in the mountains. "That's where we make our stand." As the soldiers followed him through narrow paths and shadowed woods, Jaden explained what the council had done, how they had erased records, stolen children, and built their cruel experiment on the bones of his people. The soldiers listened in silence. No one questioned him. No one doubted. When they reached the cave, Jaden placed his hand on the stone wall. The blue lines lit up again. The mountain opened. Earth soldiers entered first, checking corners, setting up turrets and shields. Others worked to repair the old relay systems, using tech far newer than anything in the cave. But it was Jaden who stayed at the core mines. Platform, eyes closed, breath steady. The machines knew him now. They responded faster, brighter. New layers of the planet's defense came online, ancient ones, buried even deeper in the crust. Turrets hidden in trees. Fungal mist that disabled. Synthetic vision. Magnetized pulses that scrambled council dropships. This world wasn't just alive. It was a weapon. And now, it was in the hands of its child. Rusk returned from the highlands, limping but smiling. "You did it," he said, patting Jaden's shoulder. Jaden shook his head. "Not yet. They'll send more." And they did. By nightfall, the sky above the mountain filled with ships, council reinforcements, heavy carriers, bombers, drone clouds. They came not to capture but to destroy. But HFY had waited too long for this day. The Earth soldiers held the ground while Jaden guided the planet's systems with his mind. Beasts from deep tunnels emerged in the darkness, armored, massive, but calm beside the humans. They joined the defense like soldiers from ancient times. The first wave of drones was swallowed by a canyon that opened without warning. The second wave was blinded by spores launched from treetop pods. The third wave never even reached the surface, shot down by glowing crystals that rose from the ground and fired like artillery. Inside the core mine, Jaden trembled. Blood dripped from his nose. His brain burned like fire. Rusk rushed to his side. "You're pushing too hard," he warned. Jaden opened his eyes. "I have to. This is more than a battle. This is history answering back." Suddenly, the central platform flashed red. A signal broke through the council's command I trying to breach the core. "You were built by us," the AI said in a cold, broken voice. "You are our design. Return to control." Jaden gritted his teeth. "You trained me to survive. You never thought I'd remember who I really was." He touched the final symbol on the console. A deep hum shook the mountain. The old code responded not with silence, but with fire. A last, hidden defense system activated, one not even Rusk knew existed. Across the land, mountains moved. Light burst from deep beneath the crust. A signal tower far away cracked open and launched something into orbit. Rusk stared wide-eyed. "What did you do?" Jaden stood, barely able to stay upright. "I called the old ones home." Above them, a long-forgotten satellite flickered to life, and far out in space, more than Earth, something else was listening. Asterisk. The satellite above HFY had been dead for centuries, its shell broken, its signal lost in the void. But now, it pulsed again. Jaden's final command had triggered something buried deep in the planet's memory. Something older than Earth's military, older than the Council's reach. The satellite wasn't just for communication. It was a beacon. And its message echoed into deep space, where only the forgotten still listened. In the core mine chamber, Jaden collapsed to one knee. His body shook. The ancient systems had drained him. Every time he touched the console, it felt like something inside him was burning. Rusk caught him before he fell completely. "You did it, boy. The message is out." Jaden coughed, his voice weak but clear. "They'll come. Not just Earth. The ones who built this world. The ones who lost everything." Outside, The sky had turned into a storm of light and metal. Council warships fired nonstop. Earth's ship held the line, but they were outnumbered, outgunned. The mountain shook with every blast. Trees fell. Dust rained from the cave roof. Still, the core mind held. Jaden rose again. This planet isn't done yet. He reached for the console, but the machine lit up on its own this time. A voice, different from before, spoke from deep within the chamber. Backup protocol accepted. Founder signal confirmed. Jaden looked at Rusk, who stared back in disbelief. Founder signal? He whispered. The walls of the chamber opened, slowly revealing a new section of the cave. Inside were 12 tall structures, pods made of stone and metal. Inside each one, a body lay sleeping, human, pale, alive. Jaden stepped forward, eyes wide. They're not dead. They were waiting. Rusk's voice shook. Cryosleep, from the first settlers. They must have hidden them before the council attacked. That satellite, it was their alarm. Jaden turned to the console. Wake them. The machine obeyed. Steam poured from the pods. One by one, the bodies inside began to move. A woman stepped out first. Her hair was white as snow, though she looked no older than 30. Her eyes met Jaden's and widened. You're from this world, she said softly. Jaden nodded. So are you. She looked around the chamber. Her gaze found the core mind, the Earth soldiers, the distant sounds of war outside. Her voice turned sharp. Is the council still here? Jaden answered, yes, but they're losing. More of the cryosleepers woke, joining her side. Old uniforms, strange tech. These were not just survivors. They were warriors from a time before erasure. Now their home had called them back. Outside, Earth troops fell back to the mountain entrance. Council enforcers pushed hard. More drop pods fell from orbit. Jaden stepped outside, blade in hand, and raised his voice. They took our names. They erased our home. But they made one mistake. He looked to the sky, where the council's main warship loomed above all. They taught us how to fight. With a single motion, Jaden raised the blade. The ground split open beneath the mountain. A new structure rose, smooth, black, ancient. It hovered above the surface and pointed toward the sky. The warship tried to move, too late. A beam of light surged from the planet's core, not fire, not plasma, but energy old and pure. It struck the warship's belly, pierced straight through, and the massive vessel cracked open like a broken shell. The light faded. Silence followed. Then the council fleet began retreating. Earth. Command confirmed it through comms. They're falling back. Cavern 9 is yours. Jaden looked to the cryo warriors. Then to Rusk, then to the Earth soldiers now standing in awe. He breathed deep. The air smelled like dust and life. The woman from the pod walked to his side. What now, Commander? Jaden didn't answer right away. He looked across the hills, down into the valley where trees had stood tall through war. And fire, where blood had spilled and roots had held strong. We rebuild, he said. Not just for us, for everyone who was forgotten. A day later, Earth Command offered him transport off-world. He refused. Instead, Jaden helped carry stones. He helped raise the first shelter. He taught soldiers how to move through the forests without angering the land. He showed them how to work with the world, not against it. The core mind stayed open. The cryo warriors stayed too. They began training others, teaching the lost ways, writing new records. A history once erased, now carved in stone and memory again. And the planet no longer trembled. Jaden stood on the ridge where it had all started, where the tower first called out, where smoke once rose. He watched the stars above, one hand resting on his father's blade. He was not a weapon, not a project, not a ghost. He was home. And Cover 9 was no longer silent.